Let's just have a conversation about how to get approved for a large amount no matter what when we speak about a business loan with no credit check. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation, I guarantee it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you are to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's tutorial, I want to speak to you about business loans with no credit check, how to get approved for a large amount no matter what. The first thing you need to do is to get your act together. So when we speak about getting this kind of loan, you need to think about things like EIN, so your employer identification number. You want to structure your business in the right way. So you want to actually think about whether you want to choose an LLC, an LLP, an S Corp, a C Corp, whatever legal structure rocks your boat, then you want to choose that, okay? And once you have that, you need to have your articles of incorporation or articles of organization, depending upon the business structure that you have. Next, you need to think about business plan. I don't care whether you are a startup or whether you are an established business, you need to have a business plan. A business plan, really, if you think about it, is the GPS for your business. It is a navigational tool that talks to you about where you want to go. Okay, you also want to think about business licenses and permits. Let me ask you a question. Big decision time. I want you to talk to me right now. Do you have the right licenses and permits that are applicable to your industry? Because you're not going to get a business loan with no credit check if you don't have those kind of regulatory things in place. Because the lender is not going to check your credit, that's for sure. But he or she will be checking other stuff. So what I'm showing you here is to make sure that you buttress, you solidify your business on other fronts. Do you have a business checking accounts and savings accounts, or business checking or savings account? You got to have that. You cannot apply for a business loan with no credit check if you don't have a checking account at the business level or a savings account at the business level. I want you to forget right now all the personal checking accounts or personal savings accounts, because the whole idea is to segregate, is to separate, is to divorce your personal affairs from your business affairs. I want you to also think about your accounting process setup. Think about whether you want to outsource the whole thing or whether you want to keep it indoors. All right. And there are a lot of platforms right now where you can outsource the whole accounting function. You don't have to do it yourself, or you can take care of it. You can have a local CPA, a certified public accountant, take care of your accounting for you. Step number 2, if you want to get a no credit check business loan and you want to get this with a large amount no matter what, you need to focus on the key stuff. When we speak about a no credit check business loan, there are a few things that lenders pay attention to. The first one is revenue. It's all about revenue. They may not care about your credit, your personal credit or your business credit, but they do care about the revenue. And there is a financial statement called the statement of profit and loss, P&L, aka income statement. Did you hear that? And they are going to pay attention to that. The second thing they pay attention to is the cash flows. Moolah. Yeah, you heard it right. You better actually pulling some significant cash. If you don't want the lender to pay attention to your credit, you better pull in some great cash. Very important. Your accounts receivable. For the cash flows, you can see this in a statement called a statement of cash flows. And third thing is accounts receivable. That's an asset, and that you see this on the balance sheet, on your company's balance sheet. Why is accounts receivable? Why are accounts receivable so important? There is a direct correlation between accounts receivable and revenue. All right. So if you have, let's say, a sizable balance in your accounts receivable, at least you can actually monetize that. There are a lot of products out there that allow you to monetize your accounts receivable. A merchant cash advance is one of them. Invoice factoring is another one of them. So it's important. And then you have equipment. Let me ask you a question. Big decision time. Does your business have equipment right now sitting on the balance sheet? Do you have equipment you use on a daily basis, for example? Does the company own that equipment? Because if it does, then you can actually collateralize any loan by pledging that equipment. Obviously, equipment is a long-term asset that you see on the balance sheet, okay? And so I'm just kind of walking you through the important stuff. So when we speak about no credit check business loan, the lender is paying attention to other stuff. And this is the stuff I'm speaking to you into this conversation. There's something called a definitive purchase agreement. This means what? It means that you probably don't have any sales on the books, but you have signed a contract, which is definitive, with a customer that they will be buying stuff from you at a later date. In some transactions, you can monetize. You can actually use those, because those are the DPA is a legal contract. What tautology here? It's a legal document that you can use as proof to get a loan. Okay, so this is important. You need to think about that. Step number 3, folks. We are still having a conversation today about how to get approved for a large amount when we speak about a no credit check business loan, and no matter what, okay? The third thing you need to do is to ascertain your data. When people talk about ascertain, it just means confirm. You need to confirm your data. Remember, the lender is not checking your business credit or your personal credit for that matter. So the lender is paying attention to a set of data, but that data better be right. So how do you ascertain that? How do you confirm? How do you corroborate that data is correct? There are a couple of ways to do this. In some transactions, a lender might ask that an outside auditor, look at your financial statements. When I speak about financial statements, I speak about 4 sets of data. We have a balance sheet, we have a statement of profit and loss, also called P&L. We have a statement of cash flows, and we have a statement of owner's equity. A lender might also ask for copies of electronic debits or credit card sales. So when we speak about invoice factoring or merchant cash advances, MCAs, you cannot get those funding arrangements by having cash sales. There has to be some kind of proof. In some cases, a lender might ask you to provide bank statements. All right. The whole thing for the lender is to ascertain your data from a third-party source. A lender might also ask for business tax returns. Big decision time. Let me ask you a question. Have you filed business tax returns in the last 3 years? If you are a startup, are you set up in such a way that you're not filing as a Schedule C, but you're filing either a 1065 or an 1120S or 1120C? What is the business setup that you have? Very important. So the tax returns are key. And in some cases, the lender might ask you to give him or her access to your accounting software or bank statements. What is my point here? My point is that if you don't want the lender to give a about your credit, you better make sure that your data, whatever the data is accurate and available. And the data can be found in your financial statements, in other words, in your accounting systems, in your bank statements, in other words, in your banking arrangement, in your banking account, in your bank account, or in your tax returns. As you can see, those 3 sources are independent, at least the two, the tax returns and the bank statements. Step number 4, folks. If your goal is to get approved for a large, no credit check business loan, no matter what, you need to seek the right lenders. We have actually covered this topic on another show. And if you are interested in the topic, I want you to go and watch a video called The Top 10 No Credit Check Business Loans for Large Amounts, Fast Approvals, and Dirt Cheap APRs. And we have covered, so there are a specific repertoire, if you will, of lenders that specialize in no credit check business loans. We have Uplift Capital, for example. They will lend you somewhere from $5,000 to $500,000. We also have a Clearco that they specialize also on that, and with Clearco they go all the way to $10 million. We have a PayPal Working Capital. For PayPal Working Capital, you need to be a PayPal. You need to process your transactions through PayPal, and they'll give you up to $500,000. In some cases, less. Okay, and we have Stripe Capital. Here, the arrangement is also it's analogous. In other words, you need to process your transactions, your credit card sales or debit card sales through Stripe for them to actually give you that loan. It is also a no credit check business loan. We have here also another one is Sellers Funding. Sellers Funding, you can actually get up to $5 million through that lender. Another lender is Payability. Payability also has a constellation of business loans with no credit check. Next, we have Advanced Funds Network. Here, they actually can fund you all the way to $500,000. Next, we have Advanced Funds Network, which is another big player in that field, and with them, you can actually get all the way to $500,000 in terms of funding. We also have Stripe Capital. In Stripe Capital here, their business loans actually range from $300 to $250,000. With Square Capital, the process is analogous to PayPal and Stripe. In other words, you need to actually process credit card transactions and debit card transactions through their POS, point of sale systems, for them to actually give you that loan, because they have your transactional volume, your transactional history with them already. You don't have to provide anything else. We also have here Clover Capital. This is another player here, and the Clover Capital, same thing. This is a POS manufacturer that basically processes transactions also, and with them you can actually also get a lot of cash as long as you use their system to process your transactions, your credit card and debit card sales. We also have Outfund, which is a player based in the UK, but they finance companies in the United States, Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, Western Europe, South Africa, and New Zealand primarily. And here you can get up to $3 million for your online business. This is really good. We also have Shopify Capital. This is really good also. With Shopify Capital, of course, you need to go through the Shopify. You need to be a Shopify store owner. So I'm just giving you here a whole repertoire of options that can help you actually get a no credit check business loan. We also have Toast Capital. Here you can get all the way to $250,000. So their loans oscillates from $5,000 to $250,000. And again, this is pretty good for restaurants, for companies in the hospitality industry, specifically restaurants. And here they want you to have at least $50,000 in revenue for the last 12 months. So you can see here that, again, if your goal is to get approved for a no credit check business loan, no matter what, and a large one at that, then you need to actually seek the right lender, and you need to pick the right lender. Very important. So step number one, get your act together. Number two, you want to focus on key stuff. Number three, you want to ascertain your data. Number four, you want to seek lenders that specialize in this kind of funding. Number five, you want to pick the right lender. I'll speak about picking the right lender right after the break. Thank you so much. We are actually just having another conversation about how to actually get approved for a no credit check business loan. And one thing I want to say here is that the next step is to actually think about selecting the right lender. It's important because if they're not going to check your credit, your personal credit or your business credit for that matter, then you need to know exactly what their conditions are, right? I've said earlier I've talked about the requirements in terms of documentation, your financial statements, your bank statements. In some cases, some lenders want you to connect your accounting software to their system or your bank account to their system via tools such as Plod All right. And you also need to understand how flexible the lender is. Because the last thing you want is to actually go to a lender who is not really flexible. For example, if you were to borrow from PayPal, they want you to have a PayPal account, at least for the working capital funding program. If you were to get the PayPal business loan, then you don't have to process your sales through PayPal. And please, don't forget to actually compare lenders. I've given you a list of lenders, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, and this is a big decision time for you, big decision time, you need to know exactly what kind of lenders will work for you. It's all about finding the right relationship with the lenders that work for you. Okay. So are you currently looking for lenders in that field? Have you compared the lenders? Are you comfortable with them? Do you know what is really happening here? Talk to me about that. You also need to think about the type of loans the lender offers. Okay, because some lenders will offer some types of loans and others don't. So are you looking for a business cash advance? Are you looking for invoice financing? Are you looking for a short-term business loan, a business line of credit, equipment financing arrangement? What are you looking for? Because when we speak about no credit check business loans, we are speaking about a variety of loans. We are speaking about a variety of funding arrangements. Okay, so you better have a clear idea of the kind of funding you are actually looking for. And the best way to do this is by having a conversation with the lender, is by talking to them, is by preparing everything I've been telling you, is by having your financials ready, by having your sales projections, by having your business plan, making sure you have an updated business plan. Speaking about talking to the lender, step number 6, you want to establish contacts. Very important. Lenders are, even before selecting a lender, it's better to try 3 or 4 lenders. You want to ask them specific questions about the kind of funding you need, about your business, knowing exactly what they're looking for. And it's important to also understand that when you talk to the lender, you want to ask them the kind of loan or credit they recommend for your business needs. See, if you give them your business plan, you give them your financial statements, if you give them your audited financial statements and other stuff, they will have a better idea of the kind of funding you need. And you can also ask them the kind of documents they need together, that you need together before applying. This is why it is so quite essential to contact the lender. And you also want to learn about the length of time, how long it takes for the loan to be approved, right? If you're lucky to deal with a direct lender, things go faster than if you were to deal with a marketplace lender, a loan matching platform, for example. Okay, you want to ask about fees. Very important, right? Do they have closing fees? Do they have origination fees? What are the typical rates? This is the kind of question I want you to, and I really want you to write this down right now. Is there any personal guarantee required for the loan? Obviously, the fact that they're not checking your credit does not mean that you may not be asked to provide a personal guarantee, right? Because you can actually have the lender might say, listen, we've looked at your financials, everything is cool, we are comfortable, we want to go ahead with the loan, but we want you to guarantee this loan. Are you ready for that? Are you comfortable guaranteeing the loan, personally speaking? Okay, so this is a kind of intellectual journey I want you to take, and I want you to actually have the right answer for all questions before you actually apply for the loan. And another thing I want you to also think about here before moving to the next step is, what is your backup plan? What if you got denied? Do you have other sources of financing? Have you thought about other, do you have a plan? Do you have a strategy? Let's say you have identified 3 no credit check business lenders, right? And the first one declined, the second one declined, the third one declined. What is your backup plan? Step number 7, folks, you need to apply. Here, what I want you to do is, so after doing all this kind of stuff, you need to apply. Most no credit check business lenders are alternative lenders. In other words, they don't have like brick and mortar branches where you can just walk in and speak to a rep. No, they want you to apply. They usually have websites that are really set up, and they have a 1-page or 2-page application process that is very, very fast. So they want you to apply it. But before you apply, let me repeat this. You want to contact the lender. You want to ask all questions that are important to you. You want to make sure they understand your business. They understand that, and that you want to confirm with them that the loan is indeed a no credit check business loan. Don't make the mistake of reading something on the internet and say, oh, I'm going to apply because they're not going to check my credit anyway. No, you want to confirm that they're not checking your credit. And most importantly, if they're not checking the credit, then they shouldn't be asking your social in the first place. If a lender starts asking you your social, something is really fishy here, right? Because if the loan has been advertised as no credit check business loan, why do they need your social for? Let me ask you a question. When I'm speaking about applying online or applying over the phone, you need to gather your personal and business income tax returns. Big decision time. Do you currently have those two documents, those two sets of documents? Have you filed a business tax return in the last 3 years? I've asked that question before. I'm going to ask it again. It's important. It is important. Do you have your balance sheet and income statements updated? Do you have your personal and business bank statements? They might ask for those things. They might ask for commercial leases. They might ask for business licenses. They might ask for articles of incorporation or articles of organization, depending upon the structure of your business. This is important. So those are things you need to think about. And I haven't even talked about financial statements. I've spoken about balance sheet and income statements, but there are others. You have a statement of cash flows. You also have the statement of owner's equity. And in some cases, they want you to have also the notes that accompany the 4 financial statements, the disclosures, accounting disclosures. So those are very important. Those are important elements that you need to pay attention to. Thank you so much, folks, for your attention in today's conversation. I was speaking to you about how to get approved for a business loan with no credit check. And number one, I'm just recapping here. Number one, you want to get your act together. Number 2, you want to focus on key stuff. Number 3, you want to ascertain your data. Number 4, you want to seek lenders. Number 5, you want to pick the right lender. Number 6, you want to establish contact. Number 7, you want to apply. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I really appreciate it. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.